I'm going to do two podcasts in a row. This one on building yourself tools, and the next one on crypto. So on the tools front, now is a better time than ever with these AI machines that we can have to basically give yourself the skills that you wish you had but you didn't have before. Like if you didn't know programming or graphic design or web pages or whatever the hell you want to do, you can do it really quickly now. And just a little bit of curiosity, digging around, and just basically fake it till you make it is what I do, and just keep trying things, and you get better and better, you get more comfortable. And some of the stuff I've built for myself, I'm just blown away by that I did it, and I thought that it wasn't even possible to do. And a lot of my friends who knew programming have told me that you're not going to be able to do that even with all these tools, and I was. So one of the things I did was build a price action tool. So I think I've mentioned before that when I like an idea, like say I'm interested in, I don't know, quantum computing stocks. I've heard a lot about them the last 6 months. Or I'm interested in privacy crypto coins, or I'm interested in, I don't know, whatever, like European telecom stocks. Doesn't really matter what it is. I make groups of the stocks, and then I made a tool to basically tell me when the price action is interesting, and then I back tested it to see if it's decent. So meaning, it's not going to be some magic thing where I just do a back test and I start buying things that are in groups. It's not going to work. But what it does do is, if I have ideas on things that I like, so you still have to have ideas on things that you like. But when I know that, I say I want to buy the market, I think it's down on stupid reason, or I don't know, I notice certain things are interesting to me, but I don't really know how to buy them or when to buy them. That was always a struggle I had, because during the day, because I trained in short-term trading, futures trading, I learned how to time that stuff for my time frame during the day. But when it comes to stocks, that lasted, weeks, months, sometimes, a year maybe, sometimes 3 days. It just depends on the trade. I didn't really know how to time that as well, because I would buy it, it would go up 3 days, and then it would come back down. I'd get out, or I'd buy it, it would go up, I'd get out, and then it would go up for 3 weeks straight. So it was this lesson in, like, okay, really define your time frame when you're moving from one kind of area of the market to the other. It's like going from, I'm a sprinter, to I want to run the 400, to I want to run a mile. It's all different, right? It's track and field, but it's different. So I went through this whole process, and then now with the AI tools, and I have the two that I really like. Before I get into what I'm doing, the two that I really like are Claude. I pay for Claude 3.5 Sonnet, I think it's called, the newest one. It's really good for coding. And so are the cutting edge GPT models, GPT-o1 Mini, even better than the preview. I think the mini one is really good. So I use those. Whenever there's a new one, I try to use them. The Google one I don't like as much, so I canceled that subscription. It's not as good, I don't think. And so I'm back and forth between these. And I'm just making, like, I think about how I go through and I look at earnings and I look at indicators in my little workflow that I have during the day, and I just programmed on Python ways to shortcut it and make it much easier for me to streamline it and have all the stuff. Just I press play and boom, up comes like all the stuff I'm looking at. And you can do this on your own. It doesn't have to be something proprietary. It's just kind of like, it can be a moving average crossover system. It can be whatever you want. Just something that you're not fading, you're not chasing bad price action, something that you can trust using. There's a million things you can use that you believe in, that you trust. That's why I think building things for yourself is so important, because someone could have the best tool in the world, like everyone's selling indicators and tools, but it's kind of useless, because it's like me selling you how to play basketball like me or something, or do jujitsu. Like, you probably don't want to do that like me, but do something like somebody else. It's just not. You can maybe learn a few things from them and figure out that, hey, I can take these two things from this person, they're similar to me, and that, of course you can do that, and that's effective. I do that a lot, but I'm not going to buy someone else's style, and this is the same thing. So I basically took some things, moving averages, some oscillators, some things I was looking at, and I made a little system. So when I track things, I know when they're better, it's better based on backtesting to buy them if I already want to buy them. That's all I did. Exiting is different. Exiting is more of an art form, so I have rules for exiting. It's not that my trading is only this, but it's just the thing I've added to my trading to make me a little more structured on some stuff that was more discretionary before. So now it's like a mix. It's a little more structured. So I can look that up every day. I see where the market's going. I can creatively make different areas that I want to look at on my own, and I have my little stuff that I made. And the point of this isn't to necessarily that everyone has to do the same thing. It's just you can create anything you want now with the computer without a lot of knowledge, with zero knowledge, if you're just curious and you want to dig in it. And I think now is the time to start doing that, because as it advances, if you don't know start from where it is now, it's going to advance and you're going to be like the old grandpa who can't even put the password into Yahoo Mail or whatever. And I'm already seeing that smart people who are my age who have businesses have no fucking clue about this stuff. They don't use it. They think it's cool, but I don't know how to use it. I'll just use Google, or I'll Google into it. And so I don't know. I mean, I get that if you don't have something, like I have a use case for it, so it's easy to be curious about it. I like this kind of stuff anyway. So that's kind of, I mean, I guess just keep your head out of the sand and think about ways that you might be able to do some stuff. And a lot of it, you just talk to it like an expert in the field. You learn how to prompt with it, you play with it. Some people listening are super aware of this, and other people have no idea probably. But it's pretty amazing. So I've built all kinds of tools and databases and things for myself, charts, and just kind of made my own custom stuff, which I never had before, which I'm really grateful to have. Instead of using like 5 tools, I can kind of put it all together in one tool. And I'm always tweaking it and changing it, but it gives me more confidence too. When you have your own stuff, it gives you more confidence that you're doing something that you believe in. It gives you a little more holding power. And I think that confidence in what you're doing is super important. It's just like doing little things well, right? And also it's a great distraction during the day. Instead of looking at the market all day, I'm building for the future and making stuff that's interesting to me. And the market, if something sets up, I'll get pulled in, or I'll wait for something that I know I'm waiting for. It might take days, weeks, instead of just kind of idly wasting time. So it's been an episode a long time ago about how Brent and I watched Deadwood, HBO series, and everyone else was getting wrecked in some crappy summer months, and we did pretty well because we barely traded. We just laughed the whole time, watched Deadwood, and then we'd do trades when they'd come, when we kind of couldn't do them because they just showed up, and that was interesting. So this is even more productive way. So I'm super grateful for that. And I think I mean, that's just the way I am too. Not everyone's got different stuff that they're into. Some people, that's not their thing. My wife doesn't care about this stuff at all, but through me, she's been using it a little bit because I'm working. She uses it in her work because I've been doing it. So I think sometimes too, when you're subscribing or listening to people, it helps to fill in some of the gaps where you're not strong, or you just want to be apprised of stuff that you're not really good. That's not going to come across the table, which gets me thinking that, like, I do this podcast, but I'm always thinking, like, what else can I do besides telling people, like, hey, I'm buying this and selling that? I hate making calls. Everyone's different. It's like I make a call, and then 2 days later, I'm the opposite way because I realize that I've done all this work on this call, and it's the exact opposite. I just figured it out. That's the way it works sometimes. It's not a lot of times. It's probably not a good thing to do a lot, but the point being is that it's the thinking process and the handling things and kind of making your own stuff and finding your own way, your own style. That's like the real pot of gold. That's why I talk about these things but I think there is a place to say, I want to buy this. How do I buy it? Or how do I handle the situation? So I've always said, I think about how to offer that stuff more. I don't like writing like blogs, and I don't want to write in print, but with the AI, I can talk and it goes into print. I don't know if it's as good as listening to the tone of voice, but that's one method. Could be like an audio Substack subscription thing where I get more into ideas. Like I was real bullish on Bitcoin before the election, um, stuff like that, and had reasons for it. Things I don't say on the podcast. And then I don't know, what am I getting out? How do I handle it? Just dealing with different situations. I think people would probably be interested in that, but I don't want to make market calls because that's just a stupid game to play. But there's a lot more. There's also what's emerging. What are you spending your time on? What are you reading? What people are interested in that you're finding? And that's kind of stuff that I love to do and I'm always doing. And I'm not really doing the best job of sharing that. And I think if I was listening to myself, I think I would want to have more of that around me because I can't read everything. So even if I pay something, I spend, I don't know, 300, 400, 500, $1,000 a year on something, and I get one idea, it's worth 10 years or more. You know what I'm saying? So it's always super valuable. That's why I do get a lot of information. I pay for information a lot, and I don't worry about the costs to a point because it just takes one thing and one way of thinking. And I consistently have earned that back. And that's kind of part of my process, though, is I like having the information. Some people don't want any information. So I don't want like stupid media information. Sometimes it's nice to know when everyone gets crazy. But like right now, well, I'll get into that in my next podcast on crypto. But so I'm going to start leaving some polls sometimes on the through Spotify, or I don't know if you guys use Apple or Spotify or the computer, but nobody ever answers the polls that I put up. I don't know if they don't show up, but I kind of wanted to get a beat on what people want more of, more stories, like entertaining stories about the trading world and life and things I've gone through, more mental psychological stuff, not like psychology of trading bullshit, but like real honest stuff that you actually deal with, or trades, specific trades, things like that, sharing trade setups. I think everyone likes that. That's kind of interesting because you can maybe think about ways that you would do something that you do or don't like about it. You guys can leave voice messages on here, which would be awesome. You could just blabber to me. You can email me too, which would be great. Whatever you want. I'm not sure if you can leave comments on the website. I don't think you can, but you can leave comments on these episodes now. I think Spotify added that, or whatever you're using. So I would love that. Some of you listen on YouTube. I just have a software that automatically spits it to YouTube. So you can comment on YouTube and I see those. So if you want to engage more, I would love to engage more. And that would be cool. Then I could figure out what people like. I'm going to always do what I'm going to do too. And I think that's probably fine with most people, but sometimes it's nice to know things that people are interested in. But everyone's at a different level. Like there's people who have been trading for 20 years who understand so much more depth about themselves and about the market, and other people who are just starting and you want to learn, and people who are in the middle, people who have a job, people who are pretty good at it, but they have a job and they can only do it part-time. There's so many different things going on. So it's not one size fits all for that, but I'd like to hit the mark a little bit more if I could and expand kind of what I'm offering. Just don't quite know how to do it yet. So I'm floating this out there. I don't know what to expect back on it, but I'm still thinking about it. I definitely like the audio. I know some people don't like listening to audio. They prefer text. You can always take the AI and push it into text now. I could do that too. It's pretty easy. But I personally like audio. I listen to it at fast speed a lot of times, but I really do enjoy consuming that way. It just depends on your flow in your life. I do a lot of walking and driving too, so it's easier to consume. Um, I'm rambling now. I had something else to say. Yeah, so I got to think this through how I would do this and if I can commit to it. Podcasts with other traders would be a good one too, talking about different things, challenges, how to adapt. Super interesting stuff. I would love to hear more people doing that. I know Chat with Traders has been doing some of that stuff, or even just different experienced traders talking to each other about how they handle things would be really cool. Anyways, I'll get on to the next podcast.